Good evening and welcome to our show. Tonight we have a special guest. We have Dr. Hamdi, who is a premier doctor in Central Ohio. Dr. Hamdi, welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I have a couple of questions I want to ask you. When you started off as a student, I think there's a lot of sacrifices that you have made. What were some of those challenges some of those sacrifices that you have made as a student?
It's not easy going to dental school, and before you get to dental school, you have to get you have to first get good grades in high school so you can get a good GPA, and then if you want to go to dental school, you have to either, I would recommend students to major in something that's in science field, like, for example, chemistry, biology, things like that. That way you can take a lot of science courses and be prepared when you go to dental school. And then a lot of those classes will repeat itself. Or for instance, I took a biochem in a graduate level in college when I was getting my biology degree, and that was probably the first 2 to 3 weeks lecture in dental school. So it's gonna go really fast paced, and yes, there is a sacrifice. For instance, when I went to dental school compared to college when I was getting my biology degree, I had a lot more free time. But when you go to dental school, for instance, your friends are your classmates, and I had to sacrifice my time with my family, for example my parents and my siblings at the time, and my best friends from other schools, because they didn't understand the what you're going through. For instance, I would say my weekends were filled with studying, going to the library 8 hours a day, and the only time I used to take off was Friday afternoon, and school is Monday through Friday. And so my class in dental school, we were 115 students starting, and then 115, only 67 of us made it. So a lot of schools, what they do is they overtake and they take too many students, and then they are planning or will project that a lot of the students will, for instance, realize, this is not for me, or it's too tough, I can't do this, or their grades are not good enough. So there is a lot of sacrifice you have to go through, and just knowing that one day you'll be a dentist and be able to practice one day.
Yes.
Fortunately,
Fortunately, today we have a good number of young ladies or young men who are attending universities, and some of them do want to major in medical field, but there's a fear that it might take. I might not have a life. I might not have start a family immediately. I can't sacrifice that if I want to start a career. So there's this struggle between I want to start a family and I want to start a career. But there's a way, fortunately for you, there's a way you managed everything so far. Now, what would you advise those kind of individuals?
Well, for me, for instance, I didn't get married until I was done with dental school, and it wasn't something planned. It just, I knew I wanted to do this, and I went into sacrifice. But a lot of times, I know some of my I shouldn't say a lot of my friends, but few of my friends were like, you know what, when I finish with college, I'm just gonna look for the right person to marry and then have a family. The way I feel is that we cannot control what happens to us in the future. Right. You can only control what you do yourself. So for me, it wasn't an option to sit around and be like, I'm gonna wait for a husband first and have a family. If it happened, it happened. But I knew I wanted to go further in my career and go to dental school, and that was a sacrifice that I wanted to make. So everybody's different. If you're the type of person that says, 4 years is good enough for me, then 4 years is good enough for you. But especially when you are in the health field, for instance, for me, when I majored in biology, there's very little jobs you can get with biology. A lot of the students are going to medical school, are going to pharmacy school, or they're getting their master's in biochemistry research or things like that. So it wasn't an option for me. I knew I always wanted to go further. So everybody's drive is different, and when you're young, it's best to get your school out of the way and And that doesn't mean you can't have a family life at the same time. So you need to be able to manage it. And to me, yeah, I went to school 9 years, but when I graduated from high school, I was 17. So I was young, but for me, it wasn't like, family this, family that. I've always been into the books, and that was something interesting to me. So, time goes by fast. I mean, I went to school for 9 years. I've been practicing for 6 years, and it just feels like yesterday. So, time will go.
It seems that you were very passionate about what you're doing. And I think at the end of the day, it depends on what kind of support system that you get as an individual. And when it comes to medical field, is dentist considered to be medical field?
Yes.
In general, how do we motivate the young ladies today to be more in that field?
I think it's something that has to come within, the person. It's something that they want to do as opposed to being told to do, which is two totally different. Going back to the support system, I had great parents that encouraged me, that, told me to, go further in my school, and at the same time, I was interested in doing that myself. So if you have, like, for instance, I have a son, he's 2, I'm going to encourage him to do what he likes, as opposed to, encouraging him to do something and he doesn't like it. So if somebody doesn't like what they're doing, then they're not going to perform as well. So I think dentistry is a great field. I love it. I have fun every day. I enjoy. I get to do different procedures every day. For example, extractions, crowns. So you're never bored. But that's something that you have to find something you like and pursue that. And trust me, time is not long, When you're busy and going to school, time will fly so fast. So don't think about the time. Like for me, when I say 9 years, people are like, oh my God, how did you do that? But as other fields, like somebody wants to go and do internal medicine, that's at least, 13 years. Everybody's different. For instance, I had, a student in my school went to dental school for 4 years and realized he hated it and didn't practice. And he went to school for 8 years. So you gotta find something you like and go for it. And don't be afraid. And for instance, for me, I was the only person that wore hijab in my class. So minority is something, and you're going to come across some teachers and some professors and say, you don't belong there, but you need to be strong and know that it's going to end and you're going to reach the goal you've set for yourself.
Speaking of minority, does it help to have in our society, we don't have many role models who've been that route before, you can reach out and get advice from? For instance, today, there are individuals like yourself and a few others who is quite around the whole country. I think do you think it helps to have a role model or someone who's been there as a doctor?
Yes, I mean, for me, I didn't really have somebody to guide me, and tell me, okay, this is what you need to do in order to, go to dental school or do something like that. But if there are students out there in Ohio that are thinking about going to dental school that do need an advice, my doors are always open for an advice, so I can advise them and tell them and encourage them and guide them so they can take the right courses. A lot of other race, like for instance the Caucasian populations, a lot of them do come from an educated family. Right. Both parents went to school and college and things like that, so they're more informative as to their choices in classes and things like that. So even in high school, you have to take, don't be afraid to take science courses. Absolutely. Because that's what's going to help you in college. Don't be afraid to take math courses, IP courses, advanced courses and things like that. And I was lucky that I took that, and that helped me. For instance, I took an advanced biology course in high school, and when I got to college, my first year, it was Breeze. It was the same textbook, and so I was able to focus on other courses and bring my grade up in those courses. So it depends on the family. So yes, if there is a student out there thinking about going to dental school, even just in general, like medical field, that do have questions, I'll be willing to advise them. So yeah, it does help when you have somebody, to help you and say, hey, don't take music courses, or, don't take fashion design school, because that's not going to get you anywhere, That
Well,
doesn't pay the bills.
Absolutely not. And unfortunately, many of our young men, women to be more specific, are finding out the hard way.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but hey, it's experience.
Yes.
It's never wasted. Well, thank you, Doctor, for your time. We greatly appreciate that. That's all for our show tonight. This is S.O.N.